Now, as Christians, we all have this wonderful hope, the new heaven and the new earth. And maybe some of you think, can't wait to get there. Well, this is the hope we do have. We have this glorious hope, and yet the question becomes, how do we handle here and now? We still have the journey to complete. Well, the Apostle Peter gives us the answer, and it may not be the answer you're looking for, but it's just one verse we're concentrating on today. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 13. Therefore, he says, in light of all that we just read before about this glorious hope, prepare your minds for action. So we're to be prepared in our minds. We're in a spiritual warfare. We actually got to be alert. We've got to be ready and be renewing our minds through the means God's given us. Then be self-controlled. Well, there's the fruit of the Spirit, self-control. It's going to take self-control through this journey. But then this one gets a little bit up in the clouds for us. Set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. Set your hope fully. Now, wait a minute. We have hope as believers for when Jesus returns. By all means, we have that hope. But he is saying here, set your hope fully on this future grace to be given. What about now? How am I supposed to live now? Now, translation, the NIV 1984 at least, agrees with the majority of translations. Set your hope fully on this future. But I like the way the New American Standard puts it. It says, set your hope completely on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. Does that mean we've got no hope for now? We're setting our hope completely in the future. We know what Jesus has promised in that glorious future. We know about the new heaven and the new earth, and we get these, in Revelation 22, the trees producing the fruit monthly, suggesting there's a continuation of time and abundance. Most of all, face to face with the Lord Jesus Christ. Think about how the disciples reacted when they saw the risen Christ face to face. What was their response? Look at Luke 24, verse 41. He showed them his hands and feet, and while they still did not believe it, because of joy and amazement. That's how they reacted. Joy and amazement. And when Jesus Christ is revealed, this future hope, the joy will be never ending. Sitting down to actually eat with the God who came into this world to rescue us, and there he is face to face. The joy and amazement that you will experience. Now, unbelievers will say, heaven sounds like, waving palm branches and sounds pretty boring. You heard people say that. In fact, I know someone who was a real evangelist many years ago who served the Lord and apostatized the faith, walked out completely on the faith, rejected Jesus, walked away from him. But the hint was already there. Even back in his heyday, when he was out there, supposedly the guy serving God, when he said, I think heaven sounds pretty boring. Just worshipping, There's only one explanation. He never knew Christ. He never knew the hope of meeting face to face with Christ. To think of that as boring. Because in contrast, the disciples who actually encountered the risen Christ on earth had not boredom, but chills, exhilaration, joy, amazement, as we just read, even trembling. I fell at his feet as though dead. But he gave me the kindest words ever. He put his hand on me and said, don't be afraid. I'm alive. I'm the living one. I was dead, but now I'm alive. Not boring and mundane to meet Jesus. Not just waving palm branches, but joy and amazement. And then what? More joy and amazement. Continually. But in the meantime, we are here battling out below. And as we've looked at before, we're in this time of separation. Sin separated us. We refused to trust in the word of the unseen God. It was not enough for us. We wanted some more, and it caused this separation. And until that time when we see face to face, there's this feeling of separation. There's this feeling of something missing. My mum passed away when I was 14, I think I mentioned before. Well, when that happened, it was a strange age to feel this the death separation thing. It was quite traumatic. And I still remember when every time a car would drive up the driveway, I'd think, she's just been away on a long trip and she's back. Just for a split second I'd think, and then I'd go, oh no, she's never coming back. Separation. The devastation of separation. What if there was a reunion? What if there was a coming back? What if there was a time when not just loved ones who have gone on in the Lord, you have a reunion, but the Lord himself, a reunion? Now, how can we call it a reunion when we've never actually met Jesus face to face? How do we say reunion for Jesus? Well, the fact of the matter is, even though we only know him by faith now, that this relationship had a beginning. It goes way before. Way before. You think of it as now I know Jesus, but he knew you. Read it with me in Romans 8:29. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. If you're a believer today, it's because God foreknew you. Not just he knew you, like he knew all of your rebellion. He knew you would never turn to him. He knew you would just go on in your separation and I don't want to know you. So how did you come to know him? How did you come to know him? Because he foreknew you and he sent his Spirit into your heart that pointed you to Jesus. You see, that word foreknew is relational. It's not just about Jesus knowing you, knowing who you are, like he knows everybody. He's God. Of course, he knows everybody. No, this is a relational. He foreknew you. He knew you in relationship from before the creation of the world. He foreknew you. And you only got to know him by faith in this life because he already knew you from before the creation of the world. So what a reunion to be with this one who foreknew you from before the creation. When we finally get to see him in the flesh, we see the nail-pierced hands and are reminded of what it is he did for us in real time and history, that we're only clinging on by faith, but then we get to see him face to face. Set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. What did Jude say? He'll present you faultless in the presence of his glory with what? Exceeding joy. Exceeding joy at this reunion, at this face-to-face. Now we see only by faith. In this separation time, we only see by faith. Only in part. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. When you think of all your trials or hopes that are dashed in this life, or you wonder what God's doing in my life, well, you know in part. You know He's working it all together for good. You know in part. And you know that, there's this, He's conforming you to the likeness of His Son. You know He's at work there, but you only know it in part. You really don't understand fully. Then you will understand fully what it was all about and how it was all for your good. Set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. No wonder He says He's going to wipe every tear away. We'll actually get to see the point of what He was doing fully. And that all those things were not just a trial to get through, but actually achieving something that will be revealed, the grace that will be revealed to you in reward in that future time. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. All along it was achieving. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. We fix our eyes on something that's this eternal weight of glory. When is it? Set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. When all those troubles will seem light and momentary compared to this eternal weight of glory. If you read carefully through the 7 letters to the 7 churches in Revelation, you see most of them have serious rebukes and calls to repentance and so on, calls to have patient endurance, come back to your first love and all these sorts of things in this journey. But it also tells you to set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. Most of those letters finish with this same refrain. He who overcomes will have the right to eat freely from the tree of life. He who overcomes will be in the paradise of God. He who overcomes will be a pillar in the new temple. He who overcomes, you'll be dressed in white. You'll receive a crown. You'll be with the Lord, sit with the Lord on His throne, and so on and so on. What's He saying? Set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. Think about, okay, what about now? How are we supposed to live now? Well, ask yourself this. Do you ever despair of things? Why? Why do you despair? Do you ever become anxious? Why do you become anxious? Some of you even feel depressed. Why do you feel depressed? Do people let you down? Things not go well and you get down about it. Why? Because you've got your hope in them. That's where your hope is. And of course it'll drag you down. Jobs, finances, relationships or not relationships or loneliness and struggle with work or family or whoever it is. You got that hope that things will be better. You got your hope there. And it keeps letting you down, the hopes that let you down. There's only one way to be free from all that. To set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. We're a people of the future. There's an eternity waiting on the other side. When Paul says in 2 Corinthians 5:10 that all must stand before the judgment seat of Christ, every time you have a moment this week, someone lets you down or you feel maybe a twinge of coveting or lusting or jealousy, because how come I haven't got what they've got, and and how come things aren't going better for me? Or pride, or anger towards another sinner, or you want vindication over things that have gone wrong, or you find those temptations coming. What is going on? What is this going to look like? Just stop for a second and think, what is that I'm thinking about now, that I'm worried about now, that I'm concerned about now? What is that going to look like when Jesus Christ is revealed? And He's the one who put this in my life for my transformation. What is it going to look like when Jesus Christ is revealed? How can I prepare my mind for action and be self-controlled by setting my hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed? You know how much I hate that saying, so heavenly minded, you're of no earthly use, right? That's the biggest lie of the devil in the world. It's the exact opposite. If you are able to set your hope completely, set your hope fully on meeting face to face with Jesus, then you are able to embrace, not sit around and do nothing, there's nothing to this. No, embrace whatever it is He's given to you to do without putting your hope in it, without expecting the hope to be in there, but as part of a process to get you to the point where Jesus Christ is revealed. Look at the Ecclesiastes writer. Meaningless, all over this, but then he comes to snippets where he says, there's nothing better for a man to just embrace his work. Get on with it. Get on with it. You know what? This is a time to hunger and thirst after righteousness. Why? I haven't got my hope here. All I've got is the Lord, and when He is revealed. So what do I do right now? Go for it. Take hold of God. Take hold of the means. Not because I'm going to find greater hope on this world. This is not home. But I can take hold of this life and see as a blessing anything that God gives me in my life to do and to whatever it is, right? Without putting my hope in that. Is your hope completely in this future? And what's all that in Revelation about heaven coming down to earth, and now the dwelling of God is with His people and He'll wipe every tear from their eyes? What does that mean? Well, among other things, it means He's going to reverse every bit of pain. Not just you got through it, now you're over that. No. Wipe away every tear. Means every last little drop of pain will be fully reversed, and He will show you that it was His plan for the glory, for the reward, for the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. All along, it was achieving for you. It's to be embraced now, achieving for you that glorious reunion when the fight is over and restored to where we should have been before the fall, back in the Garden of Eden, walking with God face to face. And Revelation gives us all those markers that tells us it's really a restoration of the original Garden of Eden, the tree of life, the abundance of provision, the beautiful rivers flowing, but most of all, the presence of the Lord Himself, the reunion. How we long for that. We feel like there's something missing. We get little snippets of blessing in this life, friendships or relationships, or we have provision from God and little snippets and all these sorts of things that can all let us down. Even those blessings that we thought we had can be taken away in this life. the new heaven and new earth, nothing will be taken away. Rather, those trials will be seen to be achieving for us an eternal weight of glory, the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed, the full restoration of what was really missing in this life to be with Jesus. Now, if you reject this hope that seems counterintuitive, how am I supposed to get the fullness of life out of setting my hope on a future? And you reject that, and you just try, like Solomon did, try pursuing, sometimes sin can give a temporary high. Look at what in the original sin, that looks pleasing to the eye. The fruit looked pleasing and good for food. And all you end up with is where Solomon ended up, having tried everything, and he had the money and the power to do it, try every kind of pleasure, every kind of achievement, and he concluded it was all meaningless. You can do that and waste your life just continuing to try and get something out, just a little something, a bit of hope. I'm not going to put my hope fully on there. I want some hope now. You can try it. And you're going to be disappointed. You're going to look back on a life that's going to tell you, meaningless. It was just meaningless. The alternative is to take hold of everything that he has given you now, the hunger and thirst after a righteousness, and see and be building this, achieving, and this thing that's missing, that the hopes, the failure of the hopes of this world can happen right here, even in the church. Even in the church, some people can feel left out, or I don't connect, I'm lonely. You can be lonely. That's if you're putting your hope in the church. But people will let you down. Everything in this world will let you down. But if you're putting your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed, you are overcome. God can fix up the loneliness. In fact, Jesus had the answer. It's greater to give than to receive. Instead of being the moping, lonely one, you can say, hang on, I'm going to be the one to seek out the lonely. I'm going to serve the living God. I haven't got my hope anywhere here, so I might as well serve the living God, the one I'm going to see face to face. So instead of being the lonely one, you become the one who seeks out the lonely. The one no one's talking to. The one who finds it hard to connect. It is better to give than to receive, said Jesus. Again, counterintuitive. Loneliness, if it's used in this right way, is actually a gift from God. It's actually a gift from God. Why? Because it points to the reality that we all try to suppress. That even if you had everything that you think your hopes are in on this world, even if you had it all, there would still be something missing. You would still feel it. Even if you had the lot, you'd be still left wanting more. What is it you're wanting? What's missing? The ultimate reunion. Face to face. The grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed is the only thing that will finally make sense. Now, actor Jim Carrey said, everyone should have an experience of being famous just for at least a short time. Just so that they can understand that it ain't the answer to anything. That he still leaves you empty. Set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. Well, that's what Jesus did. He led the way for us on this. Try and picture Jesus growing up, young Jewish boy. They had to memorize the scriptures and stuff. But we know Jesus was far superior to anyone of his age. By the time he was 12, he knew so much of the scriptures that he blew away the teachers of the law. Remember that story in Luke 2:42 and so on? Jesus knew the scriptures. Now, we love to quote those messianic psalms, don't we? You know, Psalm 22, the forsaking of God, and they pierced my hands and my feet, or Isaiah 53, crush our iniquities. What did Jesus think when he was reading those scriptures? He knew them better than anyone. And he knew they were about him. He knew as he read the suffering of the servant. How did he feel when he read? He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. How did he feel when he read that it was the Lord's will to crush him? Knowing, that's me. That's what I've got to go through. How did he cope with that? Well, we know how he coped with it. We know how he coped with it. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross. In other words, he set his hope fully on the grace to be given, getting through that to the other side. That's how he coped. And even as a 12-year-old boy, he could see where he was headed and the torture he would go through. But he said for the joy set before him, he set his hope fully on that future. No matter how young you are or how old you are, you've got a journey to complete. You've got a journey to complete before you fully see that grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. And it might sound counterintuitive, but the more you can take hold of that future hope, the more you can set your hope fully, then the more you can cope now with every hurt, every trial, every disappointment, every bit of loneliness. Every time it happens, you just stop and say, and how's this going to look when I face you? When the grace is fully given, when Jesus Christ is revealed. When you look me in the face and tell me, didn't I promise you I was in this for you? When you think of that relationship, this reunion, how is it a reunion? Because he foreknew you before the creation of the world, and he has a plan for your glory at the end, for the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. In the middle of history, he sent his son to die for your sins so you could have this relationship. He'd planned it. He's got the end plan. He's got the middle plan. And every little thing you're going through, stop and say, how is this going to look on that day? How am I going to have egg on my face going, I was whinging, when it was his plan and I didn't trust him, that he was with me. That love was there all along. How is this going to look on that day when he says, I told you so? Set your hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed, and let everything flow through that lens of that day, because you're going to look back and see, I see, it was achieving. It was achieving. And the more you can set your hope fully, instead of being of no earthly use, you can get on with this life. Nothing can touch you. What's going to knock you? What's going to knock you down? If you have no hope in this, you just get on with whatever God's given you and believe that it is what he's given you. Nothing to lose. Only when we see Jesus fully face to face. C.S. Lewis put it this way: creatures are born with desires. Unless satisfaction for those desires they're not born with desires unless satisfaction for those desires exists. A baby feels hunger. Well, there is such a thing as food. A duckling wants to swim. Well, there is such a thing as water. People feel sexual desire. Well, there is such a thing as sex. If I find myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. This is not home. Do you ever feel like something's missing? Do you ever feel frustrated with this world? Well, there's an actual reason why because you go, well, hang on, this is not the way it's meant to be, but that's the problem. It actually is the way it's meant to be. Have a look at Romans chapter 8, verse 20 to 21. For the creation was subjected to what? Frustration. Frustration. Not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. What's going on? The reason you feel life is frustrating? God made it that way. You've been fighting against God all this time. Oh, I've got to somehow beat this frustration. You can't beat God. Everything in this world ends up as frustration. God made it that way. Why? Because this is not home. We're not supposed to make it home. We're supposed to set our hope fully on the grace to be given when Jesus Christ is revealed. Can you picture the one who loved you and gave you, who foreknew you from before the creation and gave his life in history, went to that cross to be tortured for you, talking with him, that reunion, face to face, that day, it will all make sense. It was all a plan. The trials right now, we have to view them through that lens. Just each time this week it happens, just stop and go, what's this going to look like on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed?